Hi everyone. I'm really excited about today's video because I'm going to be walking through a sample lesson for SAT tutoring. And make sure to stick around through the whole thing for some of my tips and tricks for getting a perfect score on the SAT. And I tutor in math, computer science, and a few other subjects. So if you want to book a session with me or other exceptional tutors, then make sure to go to teachgenie.io. All right, let's jump into the lesson. So once we land on the home page, we can get to our sessions really easily by just going to the dashboard and scrolling down, or even easier, just by clicking here and then sessions. Now we see we have an SAT math session coming up. And for first lessons, I like to have the student take a practice exam just to get a base of where they're at and to be able to track their progress over time. Actually, that's one of the best parts of having a tutor, really, just having someone who can keep you accountable, motivated, and to track your goals and progress when you might miss that yourself. Now, I can already tell you how most of these sessions are going to go. Lots and lots of practice questions. Really, the number one way at excelling on the SAT and getting a perfect score that I actually followed myself is by taking lots of practice tests and questions. It's that simple. But don't worry, I'll make sure to help get you these questions to guide you along the way and explain really tricky concepts that come up. Let's take a look at a few examples now. There's a lot of practice questions online, but you need to be able to tell which ones are actually going to be similar to the ones on the test. Now, the College Board is the one that administers the SAT, so you know these questions are going to be very close. Now, they give quite a few examples actually, and I pulled up one here. So let's take a look and read through this really quick. So the spacecraft OSIRIS-REx briefly made contact with asteroid Bennu in 2020. NASA scientist reports that despite facing the unexpected obstacle of a surface mostly covered in boulders, OSIRIS-REx successfully blank a sample of the surface, gathering pieces of it to bring back to Earth. Now, if you don't know what the answer might be to this question, for these types of questions, I personally like to put in the word to see if it makes sense. Osiris-Rex successfully attached a sample of the surface. That doesn't quite sound right. Collected a sample of the surface. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Followed a sample of the surface. You can't really follow a sample. Replaced a sample of the surface. Okay, that kind of sounds right, but doesn't make sense in the context. So I'm going to go with B here. Now, for the next reading question, research conducted by planetary scientists suggests that the moon's surface may not accurately blank early impact events. Again, you can actually probably skip the rest of this if you want to save yourself some time. So I'm gonna try putting in these words again. Accurately reflect early impact event. That makes sense. Receive early impact events. That also makes sense. Evaluate. Moon survey may not accurate. The moon can't evaluate, so that doesn't make sense. Mimic also doesn't make sense. So I feel pretty confident that it's one of these two. Reflect, receive. Receive would make the most sense. So I might mark this here with maybe like a star, so I know to come back to it later. When the moon was still forming, its surface was softer, and asteroid and meteorite impacts would have left less of an impression. Thus, evidence of early impacts may no longer be present. Which choice completes the text with the most logical? Hmm. May not accurately by that the moon survey may not accurately reflect. Okay, so in this case, reflect like it doesn't show the early impact events because they were replaced. So definitely A here. So let's take a look at the scoring right here, B and A. Okay, so we were correct. Don't look at the rest of these answers if you want to try the rest of the questions. All right, let's take a look at a few of the math questions now. Group of students voted on 5 after-school activities. The bar graph shows the number of students who voted for each of the 5 activities. How many students chose activity 3? Number of students voted on a 5 after school. Okay, so this seems to show activity 3. It's close to 40. So the only answer that makes sense here would be B. What percentage of 300 is 75? You have calculators for this, so that's really not that bad. In this case, 375. It's not 50%. definitely. 50% would be 150. So it's definitely a 25%. All right, what is a solution to the given equation? All right, so in this case, you want to find x, so I would undo the division by multiplying both sides by 25, so it's 36 times 25. Now, this case, you might want a calculator, but I actually can figure out the answer really quickly by doing a trick. I know the square root can apply to each of these parts. So the square root of 36 is 6, square root of 25 is 5, 6 times 5 is 30. So the answer would be B here. All right, 3 more than 8 times x is equal to 83. Which equation represents the situation? All right, I like questions like these. Not too tricky. Is equal to 83. So equal to, all right? So we know it has to end with equal to 83. That's actually most of these here, so it's not B. 3 more. So it's 3 more. So it's not times. That's usually addition. So plus 3, something plus 3. Okay, yep, it's already D. And then 8 times the number X. All right, so there's the answer. So we got B, A, B, and then C. Let's see if we got that right. So reading, writing, B, A, B, and then did I say, oh, yeah, sorry, I meant to say D. Yeah, so yeah, that makes sense. All right, so nothing too crazy. There's definitely a few more tricks here, but this is what we'd be doing together. I'd be having you go through these questions and then seeing how you do, and I would try and explain as best as I can why the answer was right or wrong. I really hope this video has been helpful for you guys, seeing my thought process as I work through those problems and some of the tips and tricks that I promised before. If you want to hear more, then make sure to book a session on teachuni.io. And that's it for me. Thanks for listening, guys. And as always, here's to better learning. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below. Thanks.